ended up, I didn't have to work, so I had a bunch of stuff I had to do throughout the day, which was a thing. But anyway, besides that, we handed out candy. It poured rain here
Oh
to the
no.
point where we had 6 kids. We had like 300 pieces of candy, but we had
Yeah,
six
that's how it
kids.
goes.
And then, like, pretty much the rest of Canada, we shut down for the World Series. 10
Oh,
o'clock,
interesting. Hmm.
well, 8 o'clock, sorry, the game started. So the front light went out and all eyes glued to the TV. Um, Game 6 and
Baseball.
Game 7. It was beautiful baseball, not
The
gonna
most
lie.
Halloween thing you can do.
Yeah,
Baseball.
yeah. I was just funny enough. Sublime. I had my Sublime
Oh,
sweater on
nice.
with my raccoon ears and my raccoon tail. I was a Sublime raccoon for Christmas or for
A sub-
Halloween, sorry.
I am a fan of Sublime, but I don't know the raccoon reference.
I just love raccoons.
Oh, okay. So just
I
just
yeah,
this
yeah.
Sublime loving raccoon.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So my shift partner for my birthday this year bought me a raccoon costume,
Oh,
and
cool.
I rocked that costume my entire birthday because I was so excited about it. I had the mask. My cat wrecked the mask, so
Yeah.
all I have left are the ears and the tail. Oh, speaking of the cat, she is making her appearance.
Oh, cat
Hello,
debut.
darling. Yeah, this is Cheerio. She shows her face. Yeah. What about you? What'd you do for Halloween?
No, we had a big party. I dressed up as Quint from Jaws, and we put a shark outfit on the dog, so he was Jaws.
Sharks are my all-time favorite thing in the world.
Oh,
Like,
higher on the tier list than raccoons, then.
oh, 100%. I would
Nice.
take cage diving with great white sharks over snuggling a raccoon any day.
Nice.
Like, I've actually found a place, well, my husband actually found a place out east in Nova Scotia that allows you to go cage diving. And for
Oh boy.
anyone that is a shark fanatic, they may be aware that the east coast of Canada is a new hotspot for great whites
Oh, a
come
new hotspot.
August,
Interesting.
September. I didn't know if it was before, but they've tagged like a ton of great white sharks there this summer. So
Hmm.
for every like tagged shark, there's like 10 not tagged. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
Jaws, I can't remember the exact city, but I want to say it's New Jersey. So it's Atlantic and it's not too far from Nova Scotia. And obviously a story about great whites. So fits the. You're either validating the movie or the movie validates that, one of the two.
yeah, yeah. Well, there is like an actual case because it was more inland than it normally was, or something. There was like
Hmm.
nearby shark attack. I think the nearby one was actually a bull shark in that situation, but that's sort of where they got the idea of this ginormous shark and all of
So
those
y'all
things
have
too.
like Shark Week on the calendar.
100%. I
Nice.
might have the Discovery app just so I could watch Shark Week when I
Nice.
got home from work. Yeah.
The one thing that I've never been able to get to complete the costume, because it's a costume I've used before. It's kind of like my lazy costume because I got the authentic hat and all that. But the one thing I can never get is Narragansett, which is like just like a local beer from up there. But it's not even like a microbrew. It's just kind of like, a regional Bush or Kootenai or something like that, right? It's just like
Yeah.
hard to get if you don't live there.
Fair, fair. Well, that just means you have to go visit.
Yeah, it's on the list. It's on the list, and of course, in the movie, they're old pull tab beers, so that would be ideal. Nobody has that anymore, but just to get a Narragansett would be good one year. I think next year we're gonna try for some Pulp Fiction costumes.
Ooh.
We thought about doing it this year, but since we threw a party, it was like there was no time to think about anything other than decorations.
Yeah, fair. Was it like an all ages or adult party or
It was all ages, but nobody brought their little kids, so it ended up just being all adults, which was probably for the best because I made cocktail Jello shots, so no temptations there.
Yeah, no, accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was a kid with big parties. Might
Yeah.
have, my first drink might have been a family event, unbeknownst to the rest of the family. My cousin and
Yeah.
I. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and two, in Canada, I think the drinking age is 18, right? So there's
Uh,
a.
so the province beside me, Quebec, is
Mhm.
18.
Oh.
Ontario's 19.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's how smoking was when I was a kid. Ours was 19, and the state next to us was 18. But yeah, we you have 3 less years of kid drinking or underage drinking than we do. 2, I guess, in your province's case.
Yeah, yeah. Certainly doesn't stop them. That's for sure. Didn't stop. I don't think it stops most of us. Let's be honest, right?
Right, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
everybody who's joining in today, we are joined by MrsHilary on episode 7 of Ned Consumes the World, episode 6 of our Meet a Seat C series. So, Hilary, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And this is at least your second Godforge podcast, right? Because I think you were on like the big one, weren't you?
I was very excited to be part of the big one with Brad, Odd One, and Sneaky Gaming.
Nice.
And then I did Podforge as
Oh, I did
well.
Podforge as well. Cool. That's
Yeah,
Adams, right?
yes, yes. There's a well enjoyed blooper moment
Oh,
in
okay.
Podforge where I'm talking about Zeus being overpowered, but I use OP and it sounds like something else. And
Okay.
yeah,
I'll have to
no,
go look that one up.
unbeknownst, totally unknown, unrealizing what I was saying. I was like, yeah, so.
So third Godforge podcast. Well, you may as well be famous then at this point.
If you say so, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Well,
Yeah, no.
how did you get into all this? Are you like a Twitch streamer first, YouTuber second, or vice versa?
Twitch streamer first. Very, very few videos on YouTube. I'm still not super comfortable with it. And let's be honest, editing is a craft, and I don't know if I have the attention slash patience to do it properly. So, I don't want to put out less than stellar content either. So it's a work in progress over on YouTube, but Twitch, I do love to stream on Twitch. I started in 22, started streaming, and I played Raid, Shadow Legends for all those years.
Oh wow.
So through playing Raid, I met Susie and Odd One. So they kind of, I want to say, took me in under their wing and have like always sort of thought of me when there was opportunities, and
Nice.
reached out and stuff. So I've been very, very lucky to have met them. I absolutely adore them. I think they're wonderful, wonderful people. So big love, shout out to them.
I feel like I
Um,
heard you say on one of maybe it was the big one, that you had only been gaming for like 3 or 4 years. You didn't like start with Raid, did you? Like all of your video game career. Wow, interesting.
for Twitch, yeah, like I played, let's see, what did I play? I played Teamfight Tactics,
I don't know that
TFT
one. Okay.
from League of Legends.
Oh, okay.
Played a little bit of League, not competitively by any means, unranked because I don't know if you're familiar with the League community, but they can be pretty toxic.
Yeah.
So it was a voice off. game type of enjoyment. And then I
Mm-hmm.
played TFT for a little bit. Um, it's funny, the reason I streamed Raid was because I was using the computer I was using wouldn't really keep up with
Oh, okay.
the streaming software and a game. It was very glitchy. So when I started doing Raid for sponsorship, I was like, oh, my mind was blown because I could actually stream the game and like my streams were clear. So that's why I sort of stuck with Raid. And then I got into Raid and played Raid very passionately until about I think the last time I logged in was just after Wave 3 finished, and that
Hmm.
was just to pull all my shards, my resources, and
Nice.
shut down the account. I didn't shut it down, but yeah.
That's the most
So,
fun part of the game, anyway, is popping shards.
well, exactly. Although I have been ideally toying with the idea of opening it again until we have Godforge, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm toying with the idea. I haven't fully committed to it yet.
Most of us who got into Raid, I think, I found a lot of people used to be MMO players or something like that, or Gacha players. But how did you find it? If gaming in general was still something new for you?
Uh, so there's a very funny story to that history. Um, my partner, my husband, very good at min maxing gacha games,
Okay.
and I was very stubborn with him when he would try to give me advice on how to play the game. And I was like, I'm going to play it the way I want to play it. Let me figure it out. So I sent my account backwards and sideways, sorry, for about 9 months. Didn't get a legendary for 9 months, except
Oh,
for
wow.
Deliana. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was, I fed my Elhain, or not my Elhain, my High Katoon.
Oh, oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had no idea what I was doing. I should have listened to him. We enjoy that moment when I need to be humbled. So
So you
yeah,
were
don't
post Ninja then? Like you got in just after the first round of Ninja?
yeah. So I didn't get
Yeah.
Ninja. I had Deliana. And then like to be honest, I fell in love with the game because it wasn't super like controller heavy or anything like that. It was pretty, all I had to do was click and
Right.
for the most part. So I liked that aspect of the game. Um, and then once I started actually like devoting time and paying attention and figuring things out, like I loved it for 3 years. I think I played that pretty
Hmm.
solid, except for like the odd break here and there, and that was because I was creating content for something else. And
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I played Raid solid until Godforge, basically.
So got introduced to it then through your husband, who was a old school gotcha gamer or had been playing gotcha games for a while.
No, so I got into Raid, sorry, because I got a sponsorship for it from
Pro.
Stream Elements for my streaming.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Were you streaming League then before or TFT before Raid? Okay. Got.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
did
interesting.
Wordle. I did Wordle for a while.
Stream
Um,
Wordle.
yeah, yeah,
I.
you get the
You can really stream anything, right? I guess I never thought about as you could probably stream Match Royal.
probably, yeah. Like Wordle was actually a lot of fun because you got your community in on it, and
Hmm.
trying to figure out what words and give them the opportunity to guess. And so I had found a website that you could just play Wordle over and over and over. So That's what we did. We found like 6-letter wordles, like we found all these different wordles, and we did that for a while. And then I got the sponsorship from Braid, and I was like, "Hey, why not? I'll try it." And then I really enjoyed the character design. Um, Although I will say this and have ranted for anyone who watched me back then, um, the outfits and the shoes that those characters wear are not battle appropriate.
Yeah, yeah.
I would go on rants about the shoes that
The
the
shoes.
characters were wearing to the point where I have a redemption that is, oh my God, shoes. Like, yeah, so that's sort of how I started, and what sort of took off for streaming really was Raid, and just being sort of not really knowing a lot. So the community got to be really supportive and help me learn along the way, watch me make mistakes, and go, no, don't do that, don't do that. So I learned majority of the game, I would say, from my community more than in game.
That's really cool that you got in on a sponsorship and that you've had a number of these opportunities. And I guess Twitch just kind of opened that up, that whole world.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely wouldn't have been playing, probably wouldn't have played Raid if I didn't get the sponsorship. Uh, I wouldn't have met Susie, I wouldn't have met Odd wouldn't
Wow.
have connected with them, like, and other streamers as well. So, like I owe a lot of it to Raid, and I'm respectful in that manner. I got
Yeah.
oh, it felt like there was a lot of work to it. It didn't feel like a game so much at the end.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
um, and then obviously Godforge was coming, and I was really excited for that. So, um, yeah, it kind of took the what 2.5 months from start to finish for the alphas,
Did you play
and
all three waves?
yeah,
Ah, okay.
yeah. Um,
Which was your favorite? Was it Alpha 3
um,
competition, or when it was chill in Alpha 2 without the competition, or like just the very first cohort?
Probably, I'm gonna say Alpha 2.
Okay.
Um, I I don't mind competition, but I get a little competitive, and some people ruin it. So just by being, negative or showboaty, or you know, those
Yeah.
that there's always that potential, and so I'm not a fan of that. Um, and so but Alpha 2, like I really grinded it out. I actually completed the tower.
Nice.
Um, I felt the most like success in Wave 2. Wave 3 was definitely difficulty wise a lot more difficult. I did get a medallion, so I was pretty
Oh, there you go.
excited about that. Um, and I owe that to my cluster.
Nice.
uh, yeah.
So you were
So,
playing the wave with some other people?
well, I played majority of it. I played by myself. I played some of it on stream. A lot of it on my mobile device at work when I was taking a break, or you know, when I had the opportunity because I was still working. Wave 3, I was off for the most part, but I was just busy because it was my birthday and there was a bunch of
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
going on. So I did mostly mobile, but huge shout out to Zavarak or Zavarak,
Yeah.
who is my hero. Cat decided I need a new camera angle. Sorry about that. Um, the He was incredible, super helpful. He was my go-to if I got stuck, I would shoot him a message and he'd
Nice.
talk it through with me, and give me sort of a lead me in the right direction, not give me the answer, just sort of get me on the right direction and help me with my build because that's anybody that watched the big podcasts there would know I mentioned it. I'm very open about it. Um, my biggest downfall for these games is builds
Hmm.
and like figuring out who to build with what stats. I'm just not. It, it is my downfall with these games. It took a long time to grasp it for Raid.
Yeah.
So like once I get the grasp of it, but uh, so I made my suggestion actually is to make a toggle feature because I don't know if you played. Have you played Dragonair?
I played when it very first came out. I played it for like a week,
Okay.
and not to the extent that. Well, I mean, nobody plays any game with the amount of hours that they put into Raid. So like I wasn't on it 5 hours a day for a week, right? So I kind of dabbled and then let it go, and I've I've kind of forgotten about it. I think the battle system just didn't grab me.
Okay. The story really grabbed me.
Mm,
I'm a big campaign person. Um, very, very enjoy single player campaign. I'd say
yeah.
PvP is my lower tiered enjoyments. Not a huge PvP fan. Again, that competitiveness and sometimes you get people that are like just mean about it and
Oh yeah.
I'm a very happy-go-lucky, love makes the world go round type of individual. So try not to surround myself with that kind of negativity. It's just not my jam. And so, yeah, so if it wasn't for Raid, I definitely wouldn't be here right now,
Were you saying
sitting
that
here.
like you were saying you had a suggestion for the Godforge team? Was it related to like is there an easy mode build system or something in Dragonair?
So Dragonair has little like thumbs up beside the stats that are most important
Oh,
for each champion. So you're like
okay.
crit, like it'll tell you to do your attack, your crit rate, your crit damage,
Yeah.
focus. So like that to me is super helpful.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I suggest doing it on toggle is someone else, majority, I'm going to say, of individuals aren't necessarily that in that place. So make it go away for someone who doesn't, then it's not clogging up the screen for
Yeah.
someone that doesn't need the information. But it's available to newbies because that's, how did you learn best in Raid? By doing it over and over and over, right? And figuring out, okay, this person is an attack champion with, you know, damage dealer, so you want your crit rate, your crit damage,
Mm-hmm.
and but you'd have to. For me, it was a really hard concept to grasp, so that was
Yeah.
my suggestion.
I found myself in raid pretty often. Like if I would pull a new champ, or I wanted to, build a champ that I saw other people using for something, I would tend to like go to Hell Hades and look at their thoughts about it, and look at the talents. What I've already forgotten what it was called, but like the points and the gear and the sets and whatnot. And then I would say, okay, now I have like a picture of how people are using the champ. Now I want to do like my version of it. And I think maybe a lot of people kind of approach it that way, sort of in the middle, where I'll look at what the community is doing or the suggestion, but then I want to tweak it to be my own. And then on the kind of extremes, you have I don't want to spend any time on this, just tell me what to do so that I can get going, right? Because I have limited time to put on this. And then you have the put a blindfold on, I don't want to know anything, I just want to figure it out and feel good about myself when like the build that I came up with from scratch works, right? I think you've kind of got all three of those mentalities that exist. So I do like the idea of the toggle because you can kind of satisfy everybody there.
Well, yeah, like say you may have a champion that you build a certain way and it yeah, there's tons of scenarios or situations that come to mind where it could be beneficial to someone who just got a champion, doesn't have time to do that deep dive, and just wants that quick sort of, oh, am I on the right path? Yes,
Hmm.
okay. You know, Dragonair also has a quick equip filter, which I'm not so like interested in that demeanor. Like I like the idea of the person putting the time and the effort and the math and all of that. So I get that. So, like I'm down with down with that side of gearing champions. But I really hope there is some sort of toggle feature or some sort of support for new players to help them sort of understand because not everyone wants to go watch YouTube videos
Yeah, yeah,
on it, right? Not everyone wants to go read the Hell Hades website and
yeah,
do more of a deep dive because, they just want to play the game. They just want to know what to do and to keep playing the game instead of having to go to a website and do the searching and um, so there's that and the attention spans it comes into it too, right? Some
yeah,
people don't have the attention span to do that deep dive or want to do that deep dive because they're like, oh yeah, I'll get distracted as soon as I go over to the Hell Hades website, and it's not because the website's distracting. It's just for me, I'm like, oh, reading, oh, my phone. Whereas the game, I'm very engaged in the game.
yeah. They've kind of given us a sneak peek too, I think, into how complicated they're going to allow it to get because what we saw was roughly 60 of the roughly 200 characters that they'll launch with in a game like this will always become more complex over time after they see what systems they have that work and what they like. But when I say we've scratched the surface and we've seen a sneak peek, I would say it's Pengu. The how complicated it is to gear Pengu to make him do what you want him to do. So for anybody who hasn't gotten a chance to play the alphas, Pengu has abilities where, like, if his initiative is higher than his speed, when he does the ability, one effect happens. If his speed is higher than his initiative, a different effect happens, and then they flip flop. So the intention of the character is that as he uses the ability, he keeps like shifting what he's going to do on these. So you could try to build him with like ridiculous in one stat to where the stat bump never gets up high enough and he can always do the thing, or you can have it to where they would flip flop on each one and then you have to keep track of it during the fight. And it's like that he's easily the most complicated character that they put out there, but that was one out of 60 out of 200 as we get kicked off into the future of a game where like somebody like Brad is designing these things and these systems. So I'm quite excited to see how weird it gets.
I am so excited. I was so starstruck when I did my
Yeah.
interview. Yeah, because for the last 3 years, I've watched him as a content creator for Raid, and
Yeah.
seen him stream. So I don't know. I got really nervous, and it was also my first podcast I'd ever done. So and I did some research before and realized that there was quite a high viewership for the Fateless
Oh,
YouTube,
nice.
which I don't think I should have done that. I think I wouldn't have been as like, oh my goodness, if I didn't know that there was 95,000 people that followed that channel. I think I got myself a little like nervous. And so anyway, but it was great. They were awesome to do the podcast with, and it was really nice to see and chat with Brad and all of that. So it's yeah, I think it's incredible that it's people that play the games, that know the problems, that see and hear the community, and are driven. Of course, obviously, they want to make money. that's a given, but I think that there's going to be such an incredible balance and so many qualities of life to the game that it's going to be free to play, supportive, and substantial. And I think obviously there'll be some pay to win advantages, and
Oh, sure.
they have to do that.
Absolutely.
I Why wouldn't they? They'd be silly not to. But they need to make money to keep the game going. So,
Are you going to do a
um,
free to play account?
yes.
And is that going to be
Just
your only account, or are you going to run a couple?
I'm gonna start out free to play. Um, the I Anytime I have spent in game, it's like anything I make from streaming. Um, then I'll put it into the game because I feel like that's
Hmm.
appropriate. But I'm going to try not to do that because that just opens the doorway to me wanting to swipe my credit card, and my
Sure, yeah.
husband would not appreciate me swiping that credit card. Um, so I enjoy swiping that credit card a little too much, so I really want to stay free to play.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
my
mean, that's kind
husband
of the
is very specific that I stay free to play, so free to
that's
play
the
life it is.
that's part of the draw and the inherent predatory nature of gacha games is that, especially with something like Raid, where if you look at I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but if you look at Raid as one end of the spectrum, and then like Dark or King Arthur Legends Rise as the other end of the spectrum, it's like I spent 50 or $60 in King Arthur. I got almost everything in the game, and I like quote unquote beat it. I did all the content in like 2 months. But in Raid, you can just go thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars, and you'll still be like missing something, or you'll still be chasing something. And it makes it to where being a free to play Raid player is kind of like the only true way to play the game, because you recognize that there's no amount of money that I can spend to hit the end of the rainbow. But if I stay in this world, I'm on the same playing field as other people who do what I do, and we can, vie for some sort of like bragging rights. I really like Hell Hades free to play competitions, for example,
Yeah.
because the people who maybe have a pay to win account, they suddenly become obsessed with their free to play account because it's more challenging.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I was sort of, yeah, I had my moments where probably swiped my credit card a little more than I should have when I
Yeah.
was playing Raid. But I can see both sides, right? Like I can see the attraction and the enjoyment of it from a whale standpoint, and I can also enjoy the struggle, the challenge of free to play.
Yeah.
And I think part of my, because I made so many mistakes starting off early game. Like I went with who I thought was pretty. Like that was my whole mentality on the
Hey,
game and
how you enjoy the
teams.
game, right?
Yeah, that was how I defined who I was keeping and who I wasn't. And my husband was just like, "No, don't do that." Uh, it took a very long time to get a speed lead. It was Morgaine. I got that
Morgan.
Halloween fusion. I think it
Oh,
was
okay.
like the following year. No, it was that year. But yeah, my first legendary was Walking Tomb Drawing, and I got it
Oh,
just
nice.
just before the Halloween fusion, which was Morning.
Gotcha. Nice. I want to
So
say my speed lead was it Gorgoth? Was that his name? He was like the epic, and he would res as well.
yeah, and he had like no hair. He was bald.
Yeah, he was my. Yeah, he was
Had
like
a
a
staff.
reskin of Mage, Tomb Mage, or something like that. But he was I only had gotten Haikatun to, I think, 5-star before I pulled him, and when I pulled him, I just hard swapped. And so Haikatun went to the side, and I was using him till I got Arbiter. And then I never really developed a better PvP team than a speed lead, so I just made my Arbiter as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, that is the, not, I don't want to say easy strategy, but that is a very popular strategy
Yeah.
is high speeds, and the higher the better, obviously, because you want that uh, go first. And that took me so long to figure out, like
Yeah.
so long to figure out accuracy and speed and all
Mm.
of those things because I was like, I just didn't click in my head. So I appreciate Raid for teaching me all of the things that it taught me uh, to be able to actually enjoy these games.
You could go back in time. I know you were like, at one point, I think I saw a message looking at what games to play before Godforge came out. You could like go back in time and play all the great ones now. Like everything that led up to Raid, like Marvel Strike Force and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
I have played Marvel Strike Force. I played Marvel Strike Force again for sponsorship. I'd
Ah,
actually
okay.
quit Raid for a bit and did Marvel Strike Force for a good 4 or 5 months, six
Okay.
months, and met an entire wonderful community over there as well. It's one thing I have to say about Twitch. My experience has been absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
I've met some really, really wonderful people that, I still talk to. And, they started hanging out in a stream 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I guess. And we still chat. And
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, so.
Is there any sort of gaming in your life outside of like the video games and Twitch and whatnot that's been important to you?
Um, Actually, funny enough, many, many years ago, I used to play Halo
Oh,
3.
nice.
So the Halo series was my experience with video games. And then I also played Mass Effect, the original.
Nice.
I loved that game. I was super invested in that game. I played like 50 hours in that game, which to me was a lot.
I don't
Um,
know. I've never played Mass Effect, but everybody I talk to who like has is it's like in their top 5. It's like Mass Effect is one of the best games ever made, and I they need to like remake it like they did Oblivion for me to get back in there at this point. But I've still to this day never tried one.
it's like a choose your own adventure. You get to
Mm.
like, it, still to this day, like, I think I would play it over. I think so. I don't know. That's a lot of hours. Uh,
Yeah,
That's, that might take me till Godforge, but
yeah. You could play it on stream. You could do a Mass Effect series on your stream.
yeah, I could. I could. I've actually been playing Dragonair while I'm off Godforge. That's sort of what I've been playing casually. For that, I am part of their content creator program for
Oh, cool.
that. But I just don't have the crazy time to dedicate to streaming like I used to. Um,
Yeah.
Now that, I'm working, I work overnight. I run, well, I don't, yeah, I run a youth homeless shelter. So
Oh, wow.
we take kids 15 to 24 off the streets, give them a place to stay, give them a warm meal, hot bath, safe, warm room to sleep in at night, their own bed, you know. Yeah, and before that, I worked for 2 years. I did frontline support for the homeless. So I worked through the fentanyl crisis.
Ooh.
Yeah, my city actually called a state of emergency. Um, funny enough, streaming got me my confidence built for my public speaking. So I actually was interviewed for a federal level news organization on
Oh,
the
cool.
state of emergency and the fentanyl addiction crisis that my city was experiencing.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I got to talk because I'm very, very passionate about
Yeah.
changing the view, eliminating the stereotypes when it comes to homelessness. And there's a lot of underlying factors that people maybe don't realize or haven't, like, I've studied it. I've worked frontline for 2 years. I've spoken to, over 200 people. I've know their life stories. Like, I know their children's names. I know their birthdays. I know their favorite colors. I know what size their shoes are, because when they don't have shoes, I myself, my organization gets them shoes,
Nice.
sort of thing. And when you meet people at the worst and they open up and share their life with you, and they tell you, you make this day worth going through because you treat them
Mm.
with kindness and love and compassion, and you look past the drug use. There's more to an individual than the substance that they use, and I can tell you they all use for a reason. There was, whether it's a physical injury through the medical system that they got addicted to opioids, or trauma. Um, there's always a person under all of that who, who deserves and is worthy of love and kindness. And I got to be the reason that those people smiled, and that is an
That's awesome.
incredible feeling. When I left that job, all of them, it was towards the end of the month, so they had got what little, very little social assistance they do get. Um, and sorry, it chokes me up. They all pooled money together and went and bought ice cream cakes, and
Nice.
wrote, mine was all purple. Purple's my favorite color. And they wrote, "We will miss you" on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
sorry.
really cool.
Apparently, I'm emotional today. I love those individuals. I miss them. I go visit them every once in a while and check in on them, and because they really humbled me as a person, you know.
The
Um,
fentanyl thing was I feel like I had never heard of it until after COVID. And I remember pre-COVID, because I don't have a ton of knowledge about it, but pre-COVID, I want to say that the quote unquote opioid crisis was really, at least in the United States, was about it was too easy to get prescriptions for things like Oxycontin and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, like, people quit talking about that, like it wasn't a thing anymore. And then COVID, and then fentanyl. And then, like, yeah, we have massive problems with it, of course, down here in a lot of different cities. And I assume
mhm.
it's because it's affordable and it's pretty easy to create as well.
So, yeah. Fentanyl, obviously, for anyone that maybe isn't familiar, is very, very, very strong opioid.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we're looking, if you want to follow sort of the path, like, you can go back to opium, go back to heroin, even oxys, and that prescription. The opioid crisis was huge, in the early 2000s, um, and it evolved because people were overprescribing. Doctors were overprescribing opioids, oxy, whether it's codone or oxycontin, which is a familiar one up here, hydromorphine. All of those are all derivatives of the opium plant. So what would happen, as with any substance, the more you take something, the higher your tolerance builds, and that's how
Yeah.
people the pharmaceutical company coined and made the doctors believe that these opioids weren't addictive,
Mm.
and they falsified all this data on this controlled study of like 11 senior dementia patients who were hospitalized, and I think they were all in palliative care. And so, like, how do you track a addiction rate in someone who literally can't tell you
Hmm.
they want it or need it, right? Like that individuals and their end of life. Like it was very messed up how they lied and how they presented the data to get approvals through the FDA. And then when people were starting to sort of show signs of addiction, um, the pharmaceutical company was basically telling the doctors, "Oh, just up the prescription. Their pain is worse, so up the prescription. Make it double the dose. Make it a stronger dose because they've grown tolerant to it. The pain has gotten worse." Is sort of the way that the pharmaceutical company coined it. And basically, fentanyl is just was used in the medical field, but it's so potent that when people couldn't get their hands on oxy or heroin or morphine, the next thing to go to was fentanyl. Um,
Hmm.
so sort of you can sort of follow like the history in that sense of following any opioid, and you can sort of see the history of how it all sort of blends together and comes into it. Fentanyl, I think, has been around pharmaceutically for quite some time. It only really became popular as a street drug within the last, I think, roughly about 10 years, and that's
Hmm.
again, that's because lack of access to oxys or like the lower grades um, of the opioids, the lower grade strength, sorry, I guess, or you get have such tolerance to it that you go to the next step to feel that, right? There's that, as they call it, chasing the high.
Yeah.
Especially with opioids, you never. It's they coined the term chasing the dragon with sorry, and the opium dens, and that's the reality of it is every time someone who is continuously using substances is that's what they're looking for. They want that
Yeah.
feeling that they experience, whether that was numbness, whether that was um, you know elation, happiness, sadness, whatever, however their reaction was, or just don't care, zero cares anymore. And so to understand that is, you can understand why it might be more difficult for someone to try and live a life without that, because then they have the guilt and
Hmm.
not feeling up to societal expectations. They feel, because society unfortunately can be cruel sometimes, and it can be very hard to get sober, especially if you're living on the street. I've The reason I got along with the people I worked with so well, or worked with, yeah, was because I was realistic. And I said I was very honest in the sense that if I was in your shoes and I had been chronically homeless for 7 years, 7 years, uh, I can't say I wouldn't have been sitting beside you smoking whatever you're smoking, because how do
Hmm.
you have hope when you can't get a roof over your head. For 7
Mm,
years, you've lived on the street, and you know that when you live on the street and you have nothing, you're going to hold on to anything and everything that you can, whether that's a picture you found in the garbage. People ask people, you'll see people, well, why do they have so much stuff? How much stuff do you have in your basement? How much stuff do you
right.
have packed away in closets that you don't even look at? And that, that just makes you, that's something that you're like, oh, I have this for when I need it. People grasp onto anything and everything they can to feel normal, and having possessions is normal.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you see that person pushing that shopping cart, that person's just trying to hold on to something. Now, some of it could be for financial benefit, like,
Sure.
oh, this TV, yeah, I can sell it. But the things that you see like that, you're like, that's not worth anything. Why would you carry that? That's that little piece of humanity that could remind them of a family member, that little sliver of hope for them is that broken painting that they found in the trash and hold on to for dear life. Like,
Yeah. It's interesting how no matter who you are, no matter where you are, there's some aspect of like materialism that
mhm.
humans have. Like I'm going to acquire something, and then that thing now I've attached meaning to it. And we periodically, like, I'll go through and I'll try to like find stuff that I have that I don't want anymore, right?
Mhm.
And then I have to like go through some sort of mental gymnastics of like why I don't want it anymore, because immediately I'm like, well, I have it for a reason. And especially like knickknacks from traveling, or that somebody gave you as a gift, or like literally decorations. I probably have 5 boxes, 10 boxes of just like little decorations. And yeah, you're not gonna, that part of your mind's not gonna go away if your housing situation is different. So I totally see that. And we were messaging a little bit about this beforehand, talking about some of how it ties into culture. But do you see, like, with what the groups that you work with, do you see that the homelessness precedes the drug use, or that the drug use precedes the homelessness, or it's pretty even?
I mean, typically use proceeds because typically it's hard to say. I'd say maybe a heavier presence of substance use first,
Hmm.
but very, very many individuals I saw never used substances, became homeless, and
Mm-hmm.
became addicted to substances. Because again, if it's -30, you have nowhere to go. And the best thing you can hope for is a couple of blankets and shelter from the winter until the warming center opens up. Chances are you're going to want to use something to forget that you're sitting outside in -30 weather. Um, Not to say there aren't some incredibly resilient individuals out there that overcame and were able
Mm-hmm.
to not, I guess, from my own perspective, going through my own battles with addiction, um, I understand, I guess, why people use substances. A lot of it, there's so much to it. Sorry, my cat chewing at my Oreo container. Um, but having that firsthand experience, I was really able to understand and get on their level. And I was honest with them about that, and I said this, like when I started, I was very honest, and I said, this is who I am. Yeah, I struggle with mental health. I had addiction issues all through my life. I ended up getting a criminal record, and that smartened me up, thankfully. Turned my life around, got me back to school, which um, funnily enough, I started my program in September of 2024, and I in no 22, sorry, 2022. And then in March of 2023, I got hired with a social service agency. So
Oh,
out of
nice.
my first year. So I
Wow.
hadn't even graduated. I got hired on my life experience alone. And
Wow.
the organization that I worked for, sorry, is very passionate about not allowing, a criminal record to be a barrier to employment, assisting individuals in conflict with the law. And it was everything that I wanted to work with and help
That's awesome.
people. And I can say I was humbled very, very quickly. I started in the cold, and it was the end of winter. And I can tell you that first night that we had to shut that door and kick people out into the freezing cold, and my toes were cold, and I was standing inside, and that changes you
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you sit there and you get to know these people as people. They're not just someone sitting on the corner. They're a name. They're you know their favorite things hot chocolate.
Yeah.
They or love peanut butter chocolate, or candy canes, or you know just things, little things. This person's favorite color is yellows. Like, I remember one time a guest had asked, we had clothes, and they were going to a family event, and they hadn't seen their family in about 5 years. And so she had asked me to see what I had for her. So I went in and I found the cutest yellow sundress for her, and this cute little white shawl, and I brought it out for her, and she cried. She was so, and she's like, how do you know? I'm like, you told me you know your
Oh,
favorite
wow.
color was yellow. She's like, you remember that? I'm like, why
Wow.
wouldn't I? So when you get to do little things like that, and then there's also saving lives. Like, I did a
Yeah.
lot of Narcan administration, saved a lot of CPR, a lot of phone calls to 911, and that was horribly hard to do. But you definitely build like an I don't want to say an attachment, but you care for someone when you've literally held their
Oh,
life
yeah.
in your hands.
Absolutely.
You know, and to see these people battle and struggle, the weather and the everything else outside of the substance use, and then you know to see them go down is pretty awful. But thankfully, I never lost someone that
Yeah.
when I was there. When we were there, we did lose some individuals off hours, and unfortunately, obviously, we weren't there. We couldn't uh, interject and
Yeah.
provide the life saving measures. But for the 2 years that I was there, the every individual we that overdosed in our general block, we were able to keep on this side. So
Is it
very
something that
fortunate.
is it something that, like, if streaming, took off, if you were able to make like the money you needed or wanted through your content creation and your streaming, would you stay involved, or is it such a harsh reality of having to go through situations like that that it would be like almost like a PTSD thing to stay involved?
So when I just moved over, and March, actually, 2 year anniversary, I moved into the youth homeless sector. to take a bit of a break from the
The addiction
trauma,
and yeah,
that
gotcha.
we're still going to see addiction, we're still going to see mental health, we're still going to see homelessness, but it's a little bit different, um, in the sense that typically in most situations these individuals are coming from some sort of, for the most part, home state, as opposed to individuals that had been living on the street for years and years. Now, that's not to say, I have had clients as young as 16 living on the street off and on for years. And, but, so I did sort of change sectors in social services to get a bit away from the trauma, because yeah, I was getting very close, very attached with the guests because I really I care. I'm a very caring person.
Yeah.
I am that person that sees you on the street and sees that you're not having a great day and compliments something. What I noted, what stood out, whether it was, you know, uh, like today, there was these two younger girls walking ahead of me in the store, and I held the door open for them, and they were like, "Oh, thank you," and I was like, "Oh, you're welcome." And I was like, "Oh, I love your necklace," because it was a really cool, like choker necklace, pentagon thing, and she's like, "Oh, thank you," and I was like, and I noticed she had like a tail. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so we were talking about that, and I was joking about I got a raccoon costume for
Right.
my birthday this year. And I was like, yeah, I wore that like all day. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, it's so nice to meet somebody that's so like accepting and everything. And I was like, never let anyone dull your sparkle. Don't let anyone dull your shine, because
Mm.
you are wonderful human beings. And that's just genuinely who I am. The other day, my husband and my son um, know how passionate I am about the homeless, and how much I care, especially in my town, because I know majority of them. The other day, we were grocery shopping, and there's an individual who panhandles out front of the
Mm.
grocery store. And so we'd gone to this car, and they were unloading the groceries, and I was like, oh, I'll take the cart back. There was something I wanted to go look at, because I'd seen something in the parking lot that I wanted to go examine, but I didn't want to draw attention to it for my son, because it wasn't the most appropriate thing. And so I'm taking the cart back, and my husband didn't hear me, and my son. So he asked my son. He goes, "Where's your mom going?" He's like, "I don't know. Is there a homeless person over there?" Just because they know, like, if I see someone that I know, like, or
Mm.
someone unhoused, like, I am the person that will give them a couple bucks, or um, my son, the one time we saw a woman who's pregnant and homeless and had no shoes on, and my son was like, Mom, did her son? My son's 10. He's like, Mom, did her son say she was pregnant? I'm like, yeah. And he's like,
Mm.
that's really sad. I'm like, it is, buddy. He's like, can I give her some of my lunch stuff so she's not hungry?
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, of course. So him and I walked over and gave it to her. And I ran into her, I don't know, about 6 months later. And she was at front of a convenience store, and I'd seen her. She didn't see me. So I went in. It was really hot. It's the middle of summer. So I picked her up a great big bottle of water, and I think I got her like orange juice and like something, a banana and like some peanuts or something like that. So, try to get as much like healthy stuff and like
Mm.
filling
Yeah.
stuff as possible. And I think, oh, and a coffee, because I know how much she loves coffee.
Nice.
Um, And so I took that out to her, and she's like, I didn't even see you. She gives me a huge hug and she starts crying. She's like, when I'm having a bad day, she's like, that's what I think about is how sweet and kind it was of your son to give up his lunch snacks for me. And she's like, you've done such a great job. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, you know, I'm glad that some of me has rubbed off somewhere on him. And, but, I am the person also that if I see someone that is down and out on their luck, like, yeah, I got a couple bucks change here. I would buy coffees, like the take 10 packs
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, Christmas, I brought them all candy canes and just little things like that that, you know, can just brighten somebody's day, brightens anybody's day. But there's something little more heartfelt and a little more rewarding when it's someone who has nothing
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
they genuinely, look forward to seeing you, and that's a special feeling. I think if I ever got popular, famous, I would do it non for volunteer.
Yeah.
Um, like
Yeah.
I said, I'm with a completely different agency, a completely different town, and every once in a while do go down to my old job to go see them and check in on them. Or if I see them in the street, if they acknowledge me, I acknowledge them. But if they don't acknowledge me, I don't acknowledge them because so many people do know where I work that it would automatically connect that person. If I'm with someone that they don't know, they're going to be like, oh, they may know, like that. It's just professional boundaries, right? But the deal is if you see me and you want to say hi, by all means, like you're welcome to come up to me, but I won't just approach you because I want to respect that for them. And not everyone was, were individuals that were housed but had food insecurities. So they would come down to get food. And so someone like that, they don't necessarily want the same association as
Right.
somebody
Yeah.
who has been chronically homeless for 10 years, and this individual is quite content with the lifestyle that they live. It's not a lifestyle you or I or most people would choose. um, but I think it's her choice to live that life, and so the best you can do is just give her some basic human needs, meet
Yeah.
those basic human needs.
Yeah, I never really had a lot of experience with homelessness, but when I spent a large chunk of time in Denver, in the Denver area, and a lot of the people that I was friends with were involved in the homeless community
Hmm.
because, interestingly enough, there were a number of them who were just voluntarily homeless. So there
Yep.
was no sort of no sort of addiction, no real financial problem other than the fact that they didn't want to work a 40-hour a week job. But the culture that they were a part of was that, for lack of a better term, like crusty kids. So they would,
Okay.
hop trains around the country and stay at different punk houses and stuff like that. And I know a bunch of them for a while got together and split rent on a house. And I think they had like 13 people living in like a 4-bedroom house, and they had like built lofts into the eaves and stuff like that. And so they were a really interesting group of people because they did this, like, quote unquote, for fun. A lot of them were in their late teens, early 20s.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they did a lot for the homeless community because, like, they kind of knew all the different ins and outs of how to get by and how to survive. And I remember
Yeah.
one of my friends who was running one of those punk houses. They got really into dumpster diving, and
Hmm.
he dumpstered, like, he knew the routes and all this stuff that, like, I think a lot of people think of dumpster diving, they think of like eating a piece of raw food off the bottom of like a tin can, like it's not always that, right? Like, he got
Right.
a whole pallet of California Pizza Kitchen pizzas that were not able to be sold for some strange reason. So they dropped the pallet off to be thrown away. And it's winter in Denver, so he just puts it on his porch.
Yeah.
Nobody has freezer space for that, right? So they just stay frozen all year out on his porch, and we're all like over there eating CPK pizza. But one of them, really interestingly enough, had no aspirations to go to college, but decided to go to law school and become an attorney just so he could do pro bono work for the homeless in Denver. So I need to get back in touch and see if he's finally finished that course load up. But that's kind of my experience with homelessness, because I haven't worked in it. I haven't, been a part of it, but I had these friends who, I don't want to say they did it for fun, but that was kind of that lifestyle, right? That busking, nomadic, what you can carry in a backpack sort of lifestyle. I don't necessarily want to cut this part of our conversation short, but
No.
I did want to cover the music
Yeah.
piece before we run out of time, especially because you're wearing the Sublime hoodie. So I will ask my classic question of, how has music been important to you over your life?
Music has saved me mentally several times. Yeah, like I can think of two really pertinent experiences. When I was in high school, I lost my best friend to a car accident, and crying to music was really kind of what got me through that. Um, still hurts to this day, but now I can, there's songs that I have that are his songs, and so I hear it, and it's automatically like looking up and have that second 30 seconds of the song where it's like, hey man, I miss you, like,
Yeah,
because I
significant
believe that. Yeah,
association.
yeah, like when a song that wasn't, hasn't been heard on the radio for 20 years comes on the radio randomly, how do you not think there's maybe more to that?
Yeah, yeah.
Is how I am. So I always sort of look at that moment, when one song comes on. It's I'll Be Missing You by Puff Daddy with Faith Evans.
Okay.
When that comes on, like, it doesn't matter rain, and it's always sunny. It's always sunny, but a little, like, these beautiful white fluffy clouds, and the sun is just peeking through every time this song comes on. So I always look up and say, I'm good, Mike. I miss you. That's my best friend, and I hope you're having fun up there. And because that song doesn't come on the radio very often,
Yeah.
I don't listen to the radio very often. And then
But you
the other
just be
time,
somewhere and it'll pop up.
yeah, yeah, and it's usually when I'm having a really hard time, or it's been a rough couple of days, and somehow, some way, that song comes on the radio, or through a shuffled playlist or something, and it's just that, oh yeah, I'm not alone. You got this. You got this. Like, sort of motivation to get through whatever that moment is, for him, because he's not here to do that. So, like, sort of that little extra coach in the back of my head and the back of my back quarter, is him. And then Machine Gun Kelly's pop punk albums, so Tickets to My Downfall, Mainstream Sellout. I really got into Tickets to My Downfall just after my DUI, when my mental health really hit the bucket. And his music, same thing. Like, I listened to it over and over and over, and sang my heart out, and cried all my tears, and dealt with all of my issues that I had through music. And my husband and I actually got together, just sort of in the beginning of the downfall of my mental health crisis.
Oh no.
And no,
Survived
he
it though.
yeah, he's my saving grace for sure. But Machine Gun Kelly was kind of our musician.
Very cool.
And, yeah, and so we actually had three Machine Gun Kelly songs in our wedding. That's
Yeah.
how obsessed I am with Machine Gun Kelly. Like I have tickets to go see him in December, and then I'm
Nice.
buying tickets to go see him the following July, like because he's
Yeah.
playing twice in Ontario in like an 8 month time frame. So
Yeah, you got access to some good shows over there for sure.
yeah, yeah, I'm close enough to Toronto and close enough to Ottawa that I could
Nice.
drive to either or. Same with Montreal, but Montreal's a little bit more of a intense drive, so I don't drive Montreal. But
Wait, Toronto's pretty close to New York City too, right?
yeah, I've actually been to New York City. See, I've only ever been to the States twice in my life.
Okay.
I went to Buffalo when I was like 8. I don't remember much. One of my dad's best friends lives in Buffalo or used to live in Buffalo, so we went to visit him once. Um, couldn't I think I remember they were still building the Sabres arena. That's about
Okay.
all I remember of this trip and going to Niagara Falls on the US side, and it sucks over there.
Yeah,
Um,
I too have been to Buffalo once, and I crossed the border and went and hung out on the Canadian side.
nice. Yeah. And then my best friend and I, for our 37th birthdays, mine's September, hers is November. So for our birthdays, we went to New York City last year,
Cool.
and it was a time of my life. Incredible, incredible. I wouldn't want to live there. A little too busy for me to live
Yeah.
there. We were there for 2.5 days. I'd manage a week, maybe. I'd be
Yeah.
pushing it, but it was beautiful, beautiful city. Um,
I respect people who like that, who grew up there or desire it. For me, what happens is like I'll get in the middle of, and this happens in like Chicago too, but I'll get in the middle of like downtown Manhattan and I can't see trees anymore, and all I can see is like tall buildings, and I start to get this weird sort of like anti-nature claustrophobia. Like I need to go somewhere and either look at the water or see some trees because it's starting to get to me.
okay, okay. I guess I because it's so rare that I don't see trees and like what nature
Yeah.
that I didn't really
Didn't even notice.
it was so exciting. It was so exciting, right? Like it's for lack of a better word, farm girl goes not I'm not on a farm, but I felt like it. My mom's house is a farm, so in high school I lived on a farm.
There
So,
you go.
country girl goes New York City of all cities, New York City for her first big adventure. And it was my best friend. We went and saw Moulin Rouge.
Cool.
We did top of the Rock. We did a lot of walking, a lot of walking. We got a rickshaw through
Yeah.
Central Park. It was incredible. So
Yeah, I was thinking you could go see shows there, but I mean, Toronto's going to have the same shows that New York City has for like any major tour. And was it you that had posted pictures of like an Offspring concert?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
recently, like a recent Offspring concert where I was A, surprised that they were still playing, and B, that their shows are like massive now. Like there's some kind of, big production with fire, and he had like a grand piano. I was like, what? This is the Offspring? Like I saw them at Warped Tour when I was in high school.
Okay, so first of all, as a pop punk princess, gothic emo, elder emo, I'm so jealous that you got to go to Warped Tour. Um,
Oh, back when it was a punk show too, not,
that's what
before
I
it was like
mean.
all
Like,
metalcore bands and stuff.
yeah, like except Machine Gun Kelly opened Warped Tour this. No, Vans Warped Tour,
Yeah, Vans Warped
right?
Tour, yeah.
Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly opened it this year.
Nice.
But anyway, I digress. We're, um, sorry, I got distracted. But
Yeah, no, the that Offspring concert that was like larger than life. It looked like in the pictures.
it was so that is the It's called Budweiser Stadium. It used to be the Molson Amphitheater. It's an outdoor concert venue.
Hmm.
So it's half covered. And then the general admission is the lawn seats in behind. And it is one of the best uh, venues that I have experienced, especially like because you get general lawn tickets for like 60 to 80 bucks,
Nice
whereas
for
a
a big
seat
show.
you're looking at minimum $120
Yeah.
plus. So like for myself and my husband, we were like, yeah, like we'll just do general admission, like that's fine for us. Um, and but the acoustics in there are
Hmm.
incredible. So I've seen quite a few concerts there. So that was July of this year, or yeah, July of this year we went and saw The Offspring. Newfound Glory opened up for him, and Jimmy Eat World.
Oh my gosh. It's
Yeah,
a big
so it was
throwback.
good. Yeah, yeah. So I didn't realize how many Jimmy Eat World songs I knew. Um,
They
I
were prolific for a little while there.
they weren't like, they're not the Offspring. They don't
Hmm.
like the middle. I think every feel like almost everybody knows the middle by Jimmy Eat World, but for the most part, I don't remember them being super popular. I don't remember anyway. But the
Oh,
Offspring,
Jimmy. Oh yeah, there was a time where Jimmy Eat World was larger than the Offspring for sure. More, at least in the United States, was more popular, and it was probably when the middle came out.
oh, okay, okay. I would have been a little
And
young
Newfound
and
Glory as well. I remember when Catalyst came out. That's like my favorite song by Newfound Glory. I can't remember what album that is, but this was it essentially when punk was waning for me. Is like when
mhm.
Newfound Glory and Good Charlotte were getting really popular.
Okay. More of
But
that poppy kind of punk, right?
yeah, and it had
Yeah.
really broken through into like MTV and all that, and a lot more people were more excited about it. Ska had basically died at that point. Ska was gone,
Yeah.
and I was a big third wave ska person. But what I always thought was interesting about The Offspring was when you look at the world of punk,
Uh-huh.
most punk generally is upbeat and with major scales. But The Offspring is virtually always some sort of like minor scale, some sort of dissonant. And the only other punk band that I could ever really compare them to, like musically, was Bad Religion. And I felt like they were the natural evolution of Bad Religion.
They are literally playing together.
Oh, wow.
Literally. Like yeah, the Offspring. So the concert we went to was Newfound Glory and Jimmy Eat World. And then the Offspring launched their world tour. And they're playing again in February with Bad Religion.
Wow. That'll be a crazy show.
Yeah, we were talking about going, but I don't know if because we also are trying to renovate our basement.
Right,
So
right.
sometimes you have to choose materials over concerts.
There you go. Good
And
decision
so
making.
yeah, well, and we just saw them.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if it was Billy Talent, take my money.
No. Or
Yeah,
Machine
we
Gun Kelly.
saw Billy Talent in 2023, and it was just after, was it 23? It was just after sort of the concerts had just sort of started back after COVID, so 22, 23, somewhere in there. Um, and it was Rise Against and Billy Talent, and
Hmm.
they both like cried on stage because they were like, "This
Hmm.
is our first concert back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this moment with us, and this is how much this moment means to us, and being able to do what we love for you." And it was the most emotional concert I've been to,
Hmm.
but it was the most powerful, probably. Like I would pay to see Billy Talent in a heartbeat.
And Rise Against being the
And
opener.
yes.
There was a time where it was the weirdest thing. Rise Against was the headliner having Rancid open for them. And I was like, wow, how far have you come in the world that, as a punk band, Rancid opens for you? And then
Well,
they're opening for Billy Talent.
well, yeah, like because when we got like when we saw the concert, I can't remember where we saw it or something, but we didn't really pay attention to the fact that it was Billy Talent with um Rise Against, right? So when we get there and Rise Against is opening, we're both like, what? Like we were just
Yeah.
not expecting that. But they were incredible. Billy Talent, I like Billy Talent. Their screaming is like the max scream I can
Mm,
manage in
yeah.
music. But incredible stage presence, incredible concert. Rise Against was incredible. Um, it was really
I'll
cool
give you
experience.
an interesting band to check out if you don't already know about them, and I'd be curious to learn if their amount of screaming was above or below your threshold. But there's a band called The Pears. Have you heard of them?
The pears,
Yeah,
like
like the
P A.
fruit,
Oh, the
P
pears,
E A
like
R
the
S,
fruit.
The Pears. Because you
No.
mentioned the goth emo thing, and obviously you like punk, so they're like a progressive punk band, and they pull a
Okay.
lot from like old emo music and a little bit of metal. But the guy is he'll go in and out of screaming and singing, not like a metalcore band, but you can tell that influence is there. But
Okay.
the construction of their songs, if you're a pop punk fan, is wild. Like time changes, really cool melodies, really cool harmonies, really catchy moments that then just like dissolve into chaos and then get real
Okay.
catchy again.
I like chaos. Chaos. It's like fire. Fire and chaos. Ha ha ha. Yeah. No, I actually just DM'd that to you just so that I don't lose it. I'll definitely check them
Yeah,
out.
there you go. Yeah, that's them. I believe they're from New Orleans, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. So,
You and my husband would have like a great convo. He is a punk fan, like
oh,
through and
nice.
through. He's really the reason I got into more punk. I like the poppier punk more, like MGK sort of pop punk style. Good Charlotte, My Chemical Romance, like the emo kind of stuff. That's right up my alley. But he's definitely introduced me to like more punk throughout the years, and we've been together for it'll be 5 years at the end of the year. So
Well, when you talk to him
um,
after the show, you'll have to say, "Have you ever heard of the Pears? I just discovered him," or something like that. I don't know, like see if
yeah,
you
I
can
will. I will
one
for
up
sure.
his punkness.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, you have to check out these guys. I haven't found. Have you ever heard of Days and Days?
I don't know that one.
Okay, that's your
I'll,
homework.
I'll put that days in as an IN.
I'll DA.
Yeah, message it to me, and then
Yeah,
I'll YouTube it after we get off.
I'll find. Yeah, Days and Days. Okay,
Oh, I
there it
see.
is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit of dazed and confused mixed in there.
exactly. Yeah. Um. So yeah.
Well, cool. Well, this has been a wild conversation, right? Where we started up here with the Godforge, the content creation, and then we really got into some interesting territory with your experience in the mental health, the addiction, the homelessness, and it sounds like the work that you're doing is helping a lot of people. So if nobody ever says it, I'm sure people do. But thank you for doing what you do, because I know you're out there helping a lot of people, and you're also entertaining people on Twitch. So do you have a schedule that you want everybody to know about?
I don't because I work a
Not at the moment.
wild work schedule. So I work nights. I work 3 nights on, 3 nights off. So
We'll add a link in the description for anybody who's listening that wants to check the channel out. Give her a follow. Check out a stream. And I know it's going to be a wild first week when Godforge launches. So I know you're going to be online then.
oh, you betcha. You betcha. Probably like an hour before, like, let's do
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Big party. Well, cool. Well,
Yeah.
thanks again. And thanks to all the listeners out there. Peace.